Glory be to the blessed Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, one true God, forever and ever. Amen. നമ്മൾ കഴിഞ്ഞ കുറേ ആഴ്ചകൾ ഫസ്റ്റ് കൊറിന്ത്യൻസ് പഠിക്കുകയാണ്. കഴിഞ്ഞ ആഴ്ച ചാപ്റ്റർ 7 വേഴ്സസ് 1 to 11 ഇങ്ങനെ 1 to 10 ബേസിക്കലി നമ്മൾ പഠിച്ചു. മാരേജിനെ കുറിച്ചാണ് പൗലോസ് ലീഹായുടെ പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്നത്. പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് അബൌട്ട് സെലിബസി, മാരേജും റീമാരേജിനെ കുറിച്ചൊന്നും റീമാരേജിനെ കുറിച്ച് പറയുന്നില്ല. ബട്ട് ഹീസ് ടോക്കിംഗ് അബൌട്ട് ദ വിഡോസ് ആൻഡ് ദ സെലിബ്രേറ്റ് ആൻഡ് ഓൾസോ ദോസ് ഹു ഹാവ് മാരീഡ് ദി അൺബിലീവേഴ്സ്. സോ അതിനെ കുറിച്ചാണ് പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് പൗലോസ് ലീഹ ഈ അധ്യായത്തിൽ തന്നെ മാരേജിനെ കുറിച്ചാണ് ബേസിക്കലി ഈസ് ഡീലിംഗ് വിത്ത്. അവർ എഴുതിയിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു വാട്ട് വി നീഡ് ടു ഡു. ഫ്യൂ ഓഫ് ദം ആർ അബ്സ്റ്റെയിനിങ്, ഫ്യൂ ഓഫ് ദം ദേ ആർ മിസ്യൂസിങ്. സോ ഇതെല്ലാം നമ്മൾ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. സോ ടുഡേ വിൽ ബി ലുക്കിംഗ് ഫ്രം വേഴ്സസ് 11 ഓൺവേർഡ്സ്. അതിൻ്റെ മുൻപിൽ ഐ ജസ്റ്റ് വാണ്ടഡ് ടു ഗ്രിഗറി ഓഫ് നാസിയാൻസസിൻ്റെ ഒരു ജസ്റ്റ് ഒരു കോട്ട് ഇന്ന് നിങ്ങളോട് പങ്കുവയ്ക്കുവാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുകയാണ്. ത്രൂ മാരേജ് വി ബിക്കം വൺ അനദേഴ്സ് ഹാൻഡ്സ്, ഇയേഴ്സ് ആൻഡ് ഫീറ്റ്. Marriage doubles what had been weak. It is a great joy to our friends, a distress to our enemies. Sorrows shared hurt less. Joys shared are sweeter for both. Wealth brings greater joy to those who are like-minded. To those who are in need, being like-minded brings great joy than wealth. Marriage supplies a lock of self-control over desires and sets a seal on our natural need for friendship. It is a drink from the household spring from which strangers cannot taste. It does not flow forth outside, nor can another collect it from outside. The mutual love of those who are united in the flesh and are of one soul sharpens their piety to a fine point. So, marital relation in the Gurchana, St. Gregory of Nazianzus is talking about. He is എങ്ങനെ നമ്മൾ ഈ ദാമ്പത്യ ജീവിതത്തിൽ how we become the hands, ears and feet of our spouse. അതാണ് സെന്റ് ഗ്രിഗറി നാസിയാൻസസ് യുടെ ഈ കോട്ടിലൂടെ സഭയൊക്കെ പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്നത്. So we have last week we have seen marriage is better than burning with passion. Then today we are going to look at allowing a husband or wife to remain living with a non-believing spouse, verses 1 to 16. So adallade again for the next we could see each one should remain in the same calling in which he was called, and about virginity and what is his position, then about the widows in the following verses. So this chapter basically it talks about marriage. So today from 10 to 16, to the married I give this command, not I but the Lord, that the wife should not separate from her husband. But if she does separate, let her remain unmarried or else be reconciled to her husband, and that the husband should not divorce his wife. So basically he is quoting again Christ epistles nati gospels nati പറയുന്നത് പോലെ during his earthly ministry he was always specific. He always told them you shouldn't divorce your wife except on the cases of adultery എന്ന് അവിടെ പറയുന്നുണ്ട്. So he is quoting Jesus Christ's teachings over here. In the later verses, we can notice that they are talking about what about the unbelievers who are married. Like one of the person, they embraced Christianity, but he has an unbelieving wife, or he has an unbelieving husband. What about them? അതിന് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നത് അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു ചോദ്യം ഇവര് കമന്ററീസിലെല്ലാം പറയുന്നത്, they might have asked what about them. Over there, if you see into the Gospels, Christ never mentioned about the interracial marriage. He never mentioned about that. He just mentioned don't divorce your spouse if you only except on the cases of adultery. Apart from that, he doesn't talk about any what to be done in an interracial weddings or marriage or marital relationship. But over here, Paul is giving them the advice in the light of the resurrection of in the light of the risen Lord whom he has seen. He takes the authority and he says, if you have an unbelieving wife or a husband, but still if they are fine to put up with you when you are in the faith, if they are fine with that, please don't divorce them. If please have that relationship, please have the marital relationship, because through your faith she or he might change. അത് നമ്മുടെ പലപ്പോഴും നമ്മുടെ സമൂഹത്തിൽ നമ്മൾ കാണാറുണ്ട്. ഒരു പ്രാർത്ഥിക്കുന്ന ഭാര്യയുടെ ആ പ്രാർത്ഥന മൂലം മാറുന്ന ഒരു ഹസ്ബൻഡ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വൈസ് വേഴ്സ. സോ അങ്ങനെ പല കേസസും നമ്മൾ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ട് നമ്മുടെ കൺമുൻപിൽ തന്നെ. സോ ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ദ സെയിം തിങ് ഹി ഈസ് സെയിങ് over here. It can be because of different reasons at the present, but in the early church he said, if you have an unbelieving husband or a spouse, if they are ready to live with you, even if you are in the faith, then you should carry on with that relationship. To the rest I say, but if she does separate, let her remain unmarried or else be reconciled to her husband, but that the husband should not divorce his wife. To the rest I say, I and not the Lord. So Adyam, he is saying, he is giving the quote from quoting Christ. That's why he says, to the married I give this command, not I but the Lord, because Christ has already told that. Then the next one, because Christ had not told, he's saying, to the rest I say, and not the Lord, that if any believer has a wife who is an unbeliever and she consents to live with him, he should not divorce her. So if you have an unbelieving spouse, so and she consents to live with you, don't divorce her. The main aim over there, Paul is telling us, you should live a life so in such a way that your spouse should transform and she has to become a believer or become a Christian through your life. Through the way you live your Christian life, your spouse should be influenced, and not by the external forces, but the way you lead your Christian life. That is important. So അതാണ് സെന്റ് പോൾ ഇവിടെ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്. And if any woman has a husband who is an unbeliever and he consents to live with her, she should not divorce him. ഇതിൻ്റെ വേറൊരു കാര്യം സെന്റ് പോൾ പറയുന്നത്, see, you shouldn't divorce her because you are giving her the space to reconcile rather than just setting her free. You are giving her space, giving her or him the space to reconcile and to understand. In the way he's saying, see, if she is adamant, so let her do what she wants, he or she what they want, but you should lead a Christian life which will bring others, including your spouse, to Christ, not to yourself, not to reflect. പലപ്പോഴും നമ്മുടെ സ്പിരിച്വാലിറ്റി എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് പലപ്പോഴും ഇൻക്ലൂഡിങ് ഞങ്ങൾ അച്ഛന്മാര് തെറ്റിദ്ധരിക്കുന്നത് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് നോട്ട് ടു അട്രാക്ട് ടുവേർഡ്സ് അസ്. ഞങ്ങളുടെ പ്രാർത്ഥനയോ ചൊൽത്തോ ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഉപവാസമോ ഞങ്ങളുടെ ജീവിതമോ ഇറ്റ് ഷുഡൻറ്റ് ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഒരു ഫാൻ ക്ലബ് അല്ല ഉണ്ടാക്കേണ്ടത്. വി ഷുഡ് മേക്ക് ഫാൻസ് ഫോർ ക്രൈസ്റ്റ്. ക്രിസ്തുവിനെ ചൂണ്ടിക്കാണിക്കണം. പലപ്പോഴും സംഭവിക്കുന്നത് അത് ഒരു ഒരു ഫാൻ ക്ലബായിട്ട് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് തന്നെ ഞങ്ങളെ ആരാധിക്കുന്ന ആൾക്കാർ, അച്ഛന്മാരെ ആരാധിക്കുന്ന അവരുടെ ചൊൽത്തും അവരുടെ ജീവിതവും അവരുടെ ശൈലിയും പലപ്പോഴും that is a really very superficial spirituality. The real spirituality is whatever you do it in secret, and if people would come to know, you should reflect them, you should direct them to Christ, not to yourself. That is the true way of Christ. That is a true way of living a Christian life, to always project Christ. നമ്മളല്ല അത് നമ്മുടെ അതിന് always we need to cut down our ego and to project Christ. That is our aim. Verse 14, for the unbelieving husband is made holy through his wife, and the unbelieving wife is made holy through her husband. Otherwise your children would be unclean, but as it is, they are holy. So here, as I said earlier, through your Christian life, your unbelieving spouse should become a believer. That is the task he is giving them. That is the task which each one of us has. Each one of us have that task. Through our life, through our Christian life, through our virtues, നമ്മൾ എങ്ങനെയാ ജീവിക്കുന്നത്, നമ്മുടെ ക്രൈസ്തവ മൂല്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ മുറുകെ പിടിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് അത് കണ്ടുകൊണ്ട് വേണം നമ്മുടെ ഭാര്യ ആയാലും ഭർത്താവായാലും ഈവൻ നമ്മുടെ കുഞ്ഞുങ്ങളായാലും അവർ വളരേണ്ടത്. പലപ്പോഴും എല്ലാവർക്കും കംപ്ലൈൻ്റ് ആണ്, പിള്ളേർ 10ാം ക്ലാസ് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ദേവാലയത്തിൽ വരത്തില്ല, they just don't want to come to church. അവർക്ക് അതെപ്പോഴും ഒരു കംപ്ലൈൻ്റ് ആയിട്ട് മാറുകയാണ്. അത് പലപ്പോഴും അച്ഛന്മാരോടൊക്കെ അത് കംപ്ലൈൻറ്റ് ചെയ്യാറുണ്ട്. അച്ഛന്മാർ അത് എന്തെങ്കിലും അതിനു വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ചെയ്യണം. പലപ്പോഴും നമ്മൾ മറന്നു പോകുന്ന ഒരു കാര്യം, വർഷത്തിൽ 52 ആഴ്ചകൾ മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ. 52 ആഴ്ചകളിൽ കൂടിപ്പോയ ഒരു 100 മണിക്കൂർ മാത്രമേ ദേവാലയത്തിൽ നിങ്ങൾ വരുന്നുള്ളൂ. ബാക്കി സമയം ഈ കുഞ്ഞ് എവിടെയാ പാർക്കുന്നത്? ആരെ കണ്ടുകൊണ്ടാ വളരുന്നത്? സ്വന്തം മാതാപിതാക്കളെ കണ്ടുകൊണ്ട് വളരുന്നത്. സോ ഒരു കുഞ്ഞ് ദേവാലയത്തിൽ 10ാം ക്ലാസ് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് വരുന്നില്ലെങ്കിൽ അത് അച്ഛൻ്റെ കുഴപ്പമോ പള്ളിക്കാരുടെ കുഴപ്പമോ അല്ല. അത് സ്വയമായിട്ട് നമ്മളുടെ ജീവിതം ആദ്യം ആത്മീകമായി അത് ഡിസിപ്ലിൻ ചെയ്യണം. അത് ഉപവാസമായാലും അത് പ്രാർത്ഥനയായാലും ഉപവാസമായാലും ശുശ്രൂഷകളായാലും നമ്മൾ എത്രമാത്രം അതിനെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻസ് കൊടുക്കുന്നോ അത്രയും മാത്രം നമ്മുടെ കുട്ടികളും നമ്മുടെ സ്പൗസും അതിന് ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻസ് കൊടുക്കുകയുള്ളൂ. We can convey that message. There are a lot of people where their spouses are really spiritual. There are whom they might not initially understand that, but slowly the kids will slowly understand that importance of spiritual life in their worldly life. So അത് ഇവിടെ പൗലോസ് ലീഹാം ഒരു ചാലഞ്ച് അവിടെ കൊടുക്കുന്നത്, ഡോണ്ട് ഡിവോഴ്സ് ദം, ഡോണ്ട് ലീവ് ദം അലോൺ, ലെറ്റ് ദം സ്റ്റേ വിത്ത് യു ത്രൂ യുവർ ലൈഫ്, ത്രൂ യുവർ ക്രിസ്ത്യൻ ലൈഫ്. ദേ ഷുഡ് ചേഞ്ച്. That is something which we, each one of us, നമ്മൾ ഓരോരുത്തരും അത് മനസ്സിലാക്കി നമുക്കത് ഓരോരുത്തർ, ഇത് കൊരിന്ത്യൻ സഭയ്ക്ക് എഴുതിയാലും ഇത് നമ്മൾ ഓരോരുത്തർക്കും പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു കാര്യമാണ്, ഒരു ദൗത്യമാണ്. നമ്മൾ മുഖാന്തരം നമ്മുടെ കുടുംബങ്ങളിൽ എന്തെങ്കിലും രൂപാന്തരം ഉണ്ടാകുന്നുണ്ടോ, ആത്മീകമായി വളരുന്നുണ്ടോ, നാം സ്വയമേ ചിന്തിക്കണം. നാം സ്വയമേ അത് we need to introspect our own life. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് he is telling when the kids it would be a better choice for them to live under your care rather than living a life under an unbeliever. So they would at least get something from you. ആ ഒരു വിശ്വാസത്തിലാണ് അവിടെ പറയുന്നത്. But if the unbelieving partner separates, let it be so. In such a case, the brother or sister is not bound. It is to peace that God has called you. Simple ടേംസിലൂടെ പറയുന്നത് പൗലോസ് ലീഹ പറയുന്നത്, see, if your unbelieving partner wants to separate, they can leave. They can, if they want to separate, because on what grounds? Not on adultery or not on some other things, but because you have chosen the faith, because you have become a Christian. ആ ഒരു അടിസ്ഥാനത്തിൽ, if your unbelieving partner wants to separate, then let her or him do what they want, because you are called for peace. And that is accomplished only when there where you become the instrument of peace. So if she or he wants to separate because you have chosen to be a Christian, still you are giving an opportunity over there for her to reconcile, for you to have a relationship, because you are not taking the step, and you shouldn't, because being a Christian, you shouldn't take that step. Let her or him take that step. That is what he is mentioning over there. നിങ്ങൾ ഒരു ക്രൈസ്തവ ക്രിസ്ത്യാനി ആയതുകൊണ്ട് you shouldn't take that step. Let her or him take that step, because she or he doesn't want you to embrace the faith. So ആ ഒരു അടിസ്ഥാനത്തിലാണ് അവിടെ പറയുന്നത്. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ലാസ്റ്റ് പറയുന്നുണ്ട്, but if the wife, for all you know, you might save your husband. Husband, for all you know, you might save your wife. So through the life, through the way you lead a Christian life, that will save your spouses. Verse 10 and 11. This is just the nutshell of what St. Paul really means of the verses from 10 to 16. I just wanted to give you a summary of what he intends to convey. Verse 10 and 11. To the married I give this command, not I, but the Lord, that the wife should not separate from her husband. But if she does separate, let her remain unmarried, or else be reconciled to her husband, and that the husband should not divorce his wife. So, as I said earlier in the first verses, there were two groups who really wanted to lead a pious life, and they set apart. They didn't get involved in themselves into physical relationship. They want to lead a life of purity, and others, they wanted to really dissolve their marriages. സോ അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു ഇടയ്ക്കാണ് പൗലോസ് ലീഹ ഹീസ് റെക്കമെൻഡിങ് ഓർ ഹീസ് ടീച്ചിങ് ദം വാട്ട് ടു ബി ഡൺ. സോ ഹീസ് ജസ്റ്റ് ലൈക്ക് Christ has taught during his earthly ministry. He is also teaching, don't divorce your spouse. So everyone, even it is only on the basis of adultery. Apart from that, you need to work out. It is like a cross. Marital relationship is a cross which we need to carry. You need to two different people coming from two different backgrounds. When I mean, it is even including the family background, even the family dynamics, how they work. It's all different, and they two come together and start living under a roof. It is a cross which they both have to carry. So everyone has to work. They have to work out their marital relationship, rather than just if they feel that they can't, and they just go and divorce. No, they have to put in their heart, mind, and soul to make sure to both of them have to put in to work out the marriage. So, as I have told over here, some Corinthian Christians separated to avoid sexual activity. Modern societies divorce to marry someone else. Paul advised Christian couples to stay together and share their bodies and lives regardless of the temptation of divorce. A Christian marriage cannot model reconciliation if they cannot reconcile. So, what reconciliation we can do outside if we are unable to reconcile within our family? Within the marital relationship, if you are unable to reconcile, how are you able to reconcile with in the society or in the world? That is what he wants to convey. He's saying try out always, try to work out your marital relationship, and try to always keep on reconciling with your spouse. Verse 12 and 13, to the rest I say, I and not the Lord. Because, as I said earlier, now it is for the unbelievers, which Jesus has never spoken about. That if any believer has a wife who is an unbeliever, she consents to live with him, he should not divorce her. And if any woman has a husband who is an unbeliever and he consents to live with her, she should not divorce him. Today, I want to introduce to you a book named How to Love by Titnath Tithat Nan. He's a Buddhist monk, and it's a very small book. Very hardly it would take might be an hour, not even an hour to just read. It's a very beautiful book. It talks about how to love. The highest virtue uh, is the queen of the virtues is as love. And when you read St. John Climacus, the ladder of divine ascent, there he talks about different ladders, how you need to overcome through this the vices in this world, and the topmost ladder is the ladder of love, because he says only it is the queen of virtues, and uh, you need to have that love, and that is really difficult. You can't simply we could say that we always love, but it takes a lot of pain and effort to love the unloved, to love the unloved. That is over here he talks about one of his small writings. He says about deep listening in a couple. So he is asking the couples to spend time in listening to each other. So spending the we time is important in marital relationship. So deep listening in a couple is really important. And the another thing which he talks about is the right gift. I just want to read out this for you, the right gift. In Vietnam, there is a fruit that many people love called durian. It has a strong smell and it's quite expensive. Many people like it very much, but I don't like it at all. Someone who sees me working very hard might think, oh, they might be very tired. I should offer him some durian. But if you forced me to eat it, I would suffer a lot. So, to love someone, you have to understand the real needs of that person and not impose on her what you think is needed for her to be happy. Understanding is the foundation of love. Understanding is the foundation of love. He gives a very beautiful example of this durian fruit, which when you go to the Chinese stores, you see that it നമ്മുടെ ചക്കന പോലെ തന്നെ കാണുന്ന ഒരു fruit ആണ്. It smells really bad and it tastes really bad, but it is a delicacy for the Asian community. Uh, And this person, he says, I don't like it, but when someone sees that I'm really working hard and they think, okay, this is a delicacy and I can just give it to him, that really doesn't serve the purpose, because he doesn't really like it. So you need to, it is the same way in our relationships also, in marital relationships, to understand the spouse. Without understanding what your spouse really likes or dislikes, we at times go and give gifts or something which they don't like. So it would really backfire for what we were not at all expecting. So uh, this person, this Thich Nhat Hanh, this author, he's saying understanding is the foundation of love. I just introduced this book because uh, we are we are learning about marital relationships, and over here St. Paul, he's saying understand that person, because he's saying if your spouse is an unbeliever, but still she or he is ready to live with you, understand her or him. And through your Christian life, she should be transformed to become a Christian. So you need to understand, everyone, each one of us, be in a relationship, you need to understand, because understanding is the foundation of love. And if any woman has a husband who is an unbeliever and he consents to live with her, she should not divorce him. So the rest refers to everyone else apart from verse 10, which we have seen. Paul was referring to the most common type of married churchgoers, especially those who have tied the knot with another Christian. So for both of them being in the community, it is fine. Uh, but the next one is addressing the marriage between believers and non-believers. That is what he's addressing over here. What about the non-believers, the believers marrying the non-believers? Paul could not refer to a statement by Jesus on the topic of interracial marriages because Jesus never addressed it. We spoke about this. And the next one also I have told, it is in the light of the resurrected Lord which St. Paul has seen that he is teaching them, and as it is, he is giving them a challenge. If they are really willing to put up with you, please don't divorce them. At the same time, understand them, and through your Christian life, transform them. That is really the meaning of what he really wants to convey. Should a believing partner divorce an unbelieving spouse rather than live mismatched with them? So they might have asked this question, and that is why he is referring and he is talking to them about what about those who have married outside the community. So this we have already discussed about. He has asked them to live together, and the Christian shouldn't initiate the separation. One of the fathers, they say, the apostle says this concerning the case of a Gentile couple, one of whom became a Christian, as it is usually the case that the pagan hates Christianity and the Christian does not like to be under the influence of idolatry. The apostle says, if the two of them are happy together, they could remain married. Verse 14, for the unbelieving husband is made holy through his wife, and the unbelieving wife is made holy through her husband. Otherwise, your children would be unclean, but as it is, they are holy. So, this is a challenge which he is giving for each and every one of us. He's giving a statement. He's saying that for the unbelieving husband, he is made holy through his wife. So he's saying he's not saying that the unbelieving husband might be made holy or could be made holy. He's saying he is made holy. That's it. He is gonna make them holy through your spouse. For that, who has to work? The spouse has to work on that. The spouse has to lead a Christian life, not only in the talk, but also in action. Walk the talk. Whatever we preach, we need to put it into action. That is really matters. And few of the commentators, they talk about referring to the Old Testament. I have quoted that also. um, this we have mentioned, we have discussed about how they are to be influenced, or not just influenced, transformed through our life, our Christian life. And then they should embrace Christianity. And made holy itself means to sanctified, means to set apart for a special purpose. So here one of the commentators, they quote Exodus and Leviticus, which says, "For 7 days make atonement for the altar and consecrate it. Then the altar will be most holy, and whatever touches it will be holy." So uh, we all are called, uh, all are consecrated, we all are set apart. And through our life, uh, through our spiritual life, through our sacraments, and our prayer life, we are called to become holy. And that's what he says, uh, when we go around, or when people come in contact with us, they have to feel that aura, or they have to feel that vibration, or that positivity from us. We always know people, when we meet, when we talk to them, we get some kind of positivity, we get some kind of positivity from them, that energy which we receive when we talk to certain people. That is what St. Paul is also saying. They are set apart, and through your life they are to be holy. And as I said earlier about the children, they would be it would be better for them to raised in a Christian environment rather than in a pagan environment. And he would he would give them that grace for understanding, for solving issues in their life. That's what St. Paul is also talking. He's saying it would be much better for them to be in the Christian environment rather than be in the pagan world. So through your prayers, that's what we are, as I was talking about, we all are to lead that life of holiness and that life of transformation, where others, when they come in contact with us, automatically get transformed. That is what St. Paul is intending over here. Tertullian, he says, the children of believers being designated for sanctification and salvation by the deposit of this hope, Paul supports the marriage to continue. Verse 15, but if the unbelieving partner separates, let it be so. In such a case, the brother or sister is not bound. It is to peace that God has called you. Over here, the St. Paul is mentioning, if the unbeliever, they want to separate, you don't take the initiative, you don't put in an effort. But if the other person, your spouse, really uh, wants to get separated, because you have selected, because you have embraced Christianity, or you have been in the faith for that reason, then let it be so. Because you are called, we all are called to have that peace. We are called for messengers of peace. uh, it is better to maintain a pleasant relationship with an unbelieving spouse who has left than to try to hold the marriage together if it would just lead to an ongoing animosity and escalating hostility in the family. So uh, the unbeliever can, if they make a call and they say, I need to separate, so you still give them that space for reconciliation. Even might be in the following verses, or I think so, I have read in some of the commentaries, they said, okay, if the brother or sister is not bound, so are they free to get married, remarry? uh, the St. Paul doesn't talk about all those things, but definitely he would mean that even if they separate, but still you give that room to them for them to come back. That is the true love. He might be, nowhere it is mentioned about remarriage, but in these verses. But uh, one of the commentators, he says that if that is what was the concern, like if the unbeliever moves away, and this the faithful Christian is there, and he remarry, because the verse says he is no more bound. So can he remarry? And they go on to explain that uh, he is not supposed to remarry, and he has to be open for the reconciliation, or for the spouse to come back, give a space for that person to come into their senses and still come back, giving that, opening that door for that person to come back into having a relationship. And finally, being a Christian, uh, he says that you shouldn't take the initiative to be separated. A Christian whose unsaved ex-spouse has divorced him or her to remain unmarried as long as there is a chance that the ex-spouse will revert to the faith. That is what one of the commentators were talking about. Saint Augustine, the church father, he says, the Christian husband would not be blamed to depart from his wife, even if their marriage is legal, as long as the wife refuses to live with him on account that he became a Christian. St. John Chrysostom, if your unbelieving partner treats you badly because of your new faith, it would be better for you to depart. That is what is meant by saying God has called us to peace, because in this case, it is the other party who is the cause for divorce. This is all in relation to the Corinthian church. Specifically, he mentions about the Corinthian church. Verse 16, wife, for all you know, you might save your husband. Husband, for all you know, you might save your wife. One of the commentators, they just say that the Christian the Christian married to a non-believer should continue carrying his cross and live with his partner, not for temporary gain or to satisfy carnal or social desires, but for the prospect of their partner's salvation. So as I told you earlier, the main goal of our Christian life, whether it is a marital path or a monastic path, the goal is to attain theosis, to be like God, to have that, uh, to be like God, to uh, that is the process, the theosis, verification. So in the marital relationship, the spouses have to support, have to be with each other to accomplish that um, that journey, to reach to that pinnacle, to reach that pinnacle of deification. uh, and even in the monastic life, the monastic has to struggle, has to carry the cross, and reach the pinnacle. So the salvation, or the in the journey, the spouses have to support each other, whether the other one, if they are lacking in faith, so the spouse has to motivate. The spouse has to uplift, encourage, give words of encouragement, help the other person to always carry the cross. That is the main aspect of especially in the marital relationship. Paul may have meant that Christians should not divorce their unbelieving spouses because staying together might convert the unbeliever. All these I have already initially I just told in a nutshell about the main thing is that it is a message for each one of us. Also, the challenge which he gives. Uh, we all have the believing spouses who have been tied the knot in the church, but how much how deep is our spiritual life, how deep is this the spiritual life of our spouses, how deep is the spiritual life of our kids. That is the challenge which he gives to us as when we learn this one in the First Corinthians. How are we uh, to be a mode of transformation to our spouse and also to our kids through our life, through leading a Christian life? How can we transform them to be better Christians? First Peter uh, chapter 3. Wives, in the same way, submit yourselves to your own husbands, so that if any of them do not believe the word, they may be won over without words by by the behavior of their wives, when they see the purity and reverence of your lives. One of the Sufi philosophers, Rumi, Jalaluddin Rumi, he uh, very beautifully, our main struggle is we always try to seek love from our spouses, from our kids, or in any relationship. But this Jalaluddin Rumi, the Sufi philosophy, says, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. So there are a lot of barriers which we have built within us to prevent us from loving others. We all want to seek love. We all want others to love us, care us. But there are these barriers which we have built within us, which is causing an hindrance to love others. That can be our ego, that can be our anger, that can be our jealousy, it can be anything, a misunderstanding. So we need to remove those barriers within us, which we have built. Only then we can give love. We can freely love others. So that's all for today. I just wanted to take a small passage, but the crux over here, which St. Paul is challenging each one of us, is the first thing is that to understanding is the foundation of love. That is why he says, don't divorce your unbeliever spouse. Still put up with them. If they are ready to stay with you, just stay with them. Marital relationship is important, and more important is, if he or she is still putting up with you, try to understand that love, because understanding is the foundation of love. Only when you try to understand your spouse, it is just like they are seeing that we are working hard, and durian is an expensive fruit, and I just want to give it to them, but we don't know whether he or she likes it. So we need to know what he or she likes and dislikes. So let us all pray and seek the guidance of the Holy Spirit to understand the persons in the relationship, especially in marital relationship, your spouses, and to understand in a better way how to communicate love, how to really become love. Very beautiful passage. The following, the other actions might be taking about First Corinthians when they talk about love and the attributes which they give about love over there. Uh, if someone has the Bible, they could read. I usually talk about this in most of my homilies for weddings, and it is really interesting. And I would always I would recommend them to take a printout of it and keep it in the uh, keep it wherever they always see, because one of the best things in our life is to love. And even in the relationships, we always seek love, and we want to be loved, but we should always love and try to remove all the barriers which we have created, which we have built in our own lives. And if someone can read First Corinthians chapter 13, it is really, I don't know, you might have heard me talk about this in other classes, but if you have not heard about it, I would really recommend you to to take a printout of it, and to have it wherever, every day, wherever you can see it, because that is something which we all need in our life. uh, First Corinthians chapter 13, if someone can read from verse 4 onwards. First Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4 onwards. If you have your Bibles, you can just go through that. I can just read it for you. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. So this is First Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4 till 7. That is the text. Now, this is the assignment, what I want to give you. Instead of that word love, have your own names over there, and you start reading it. Instead of the word love, replace your own names. When it says love suffers long and is kind, we just read it as Bejoy suffers long and is kind. Bejoy does not envy. Bejoy does not parade itself, is not puffed up, Bejoy does not behave rudely. Bejoy does not seek its own. Bejoy is not provoked. Bejoy thinks no evil. Bejoy does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoice in truth. Bejoy bears all things, believes all things. Are we those people? We are called to be like that. This is a small assignment, a small task which I leave it to you to introspect. And if you can take a printout of it, replace your own names, give it to your kids who are married, let them have it on their desk or on their mirror, wherever they see every day, to reinforce every day, saying that we are to be like that. We are called to be like that. We are supposed to be like that. May God bless each one of us. May the Lord have mercy upon each one of us. Thank you.